This episode, I hope, can be for anybody that wants to know what's going on with the Charlie Kirk situation, whether you're, extreme left, extreme right, middle right. Probably, hopefully, a more balanced place that we can look at this as far as like what it is, what it means, where do we go from here as a country. So this is the emergency Charlie Kirk episode. I'm here with my buddy Anthony.
Long time no see.
Yeah. Like, this is a wild way to
This is a wild way to
catch up.
reconvene.
Yeah.
So we texted about this.
Yeah, you just got back in town from a trip, and then this happens with
Well, there was
Charlie Kirk.
basically no... Well, I haven't really been paying attention to any politics while I was on my trip. And even before that for a little bit. But I had heard about what happened in... Was it North Carolina?
That's where you were?
No. What happened there?
You don't... Oh, recently or with Charlie Kirk?
Well, before Charlie Kirk,
Okay,
there was
the North Carolina thing. Yeah.
Was it in Charlotte?
I think so. But do you
stabbing.
know where the Charlie Kirk thing happened?
In Utah.
Where I'm from.
Yeah. And then before that, there was the shooting in Minnesota.
Yeah. By the way, this is going to be people just finding me for the first time. So just a really quick, I grew up in a high control environment. I actually grew up in Utah my entire life. Not just Mormon. I grew up fundamentalist Mormon. And
Shout out.
yeah, shout out LDS, shout out fundamentalist Mormon. And I really want to bring some of that perspective to this episode in the sense that I am no longer practicing any religion. But I grew up in something very strict, and I'm more open. And pretty much everything that I ever tweeted at Charlie Kirk about did not agree with. And so, but I actually think what happened today is like not good for anybody. And so I want to get into some of that, but just wanted to set that up. And just fun fact, if you end up digging into any of my other episodes, I have 44 siblings.
Shout
Pretty
out.
normal. Yeah. Shout out to every one of my siblings. So yeah, I want to bring that perspective of strictness. I know what it looks like to be super dogmatic on a belief system. I also know that people can change. Anyway, so we'll
Where
get
is
into
Utah Valley? Was it at UVU?
Yeah.
Where is
Yeah.
that at?
It's
Is it in Salt Lake?
it's south of Salt Lake. UVU. I'm gonna find it exactly.
Is that like BYU where it's like 90% of the people that go there are Mormon?
It's not gonna be like BYU. I lived right by here. Like it's in Orem. I lived in right before I moved to New York City. I live in New York now. I lived in a little town called Vineyard, which is right by Orem, which is right by this. Like, I lived right here. It's... Okay, so I want to get some of your initial reactions, because I, just going through the little bit of text messages, I get the sense that the way you're reacting to it is going to be different than the way I'm going to react to it. So I'd love to just give your first take. Like, when you're seeing this news... Like, were you pretty familiar with Charlie Kirk? Like, you knew who he was? Like, what was your initial reaction?
I know Charlie Kirk through, like, he's pretty viral online. And he's pretty prominent figure in the whole MAGA movement, right? He's, like, founder of Turning Point when he was very, very young. Turning Point's huge now. He does all these viral videos online of him going to college campuses and... quote-unquote roasting woke liberal college
He's
kids.
the founder of Turning Point. Holy shit. One of the other things I just realized is that when I got interviewed by what's-her-name, this Savannah girl...
Is she work for Turning Point?
I think so.
Yeah.
I was interviewed at Washington Square Park.
I don't really know what Turning Point is. I think it's some sort of...
It's like media company or
It's a
something.
media company. They hold conventions.
But,
anyway.
Okay, so continue.
I mean, he has these viral videos online where he's roasting these woke liberal college students. I think he has some good takes and he has some bad takes.
Yeah.
And I know people get heated because he would go to college campuses and basically only like people that disagree with him line up. They have these takes, then he has his takes, and these guys are getting pissed. He's like he's a rage baiter. He knows how to rage bait people. Like, he gets them very, very angry. They're shouting at him, and then he just, like, ends it. He's like, you're an idiot.
Yep.
You have bad values. You have bad morals, blah, blah, blah. Okay,
Yeah.
so
I just want to say, because we're going to have different... I want to give you that, because That's something I agree on. Like, I am very, again, I'm not happy about this in any way. I think it's saying something really deep about where we are culturally, but that is something that, yeah, totally. I can see that really pissing people off.
I don't think he's, I think he's an intelligent person. Did you watch his interview with Gavin Newsom?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I was like, how is Gavin such an idiot?
Yeah, I watched him with Gavin.
I was just surprised because I was like, okay, Gavin's a governor, and he's going to have something to say about how he's been running California. I know people have been roasting how California's been run in the past couple of years.
Yeah.
And I feel like Charlie Kirk did a great job in that interview showing how poorly Gavin Newsom was running the state. Right. And Gavin Newsom basically had nothing to say back. I was like very, very surprised by that.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's all I know about Charlie Kirk. I've watched some of his videos.
Yeah.
And I know he's a very prominent person in the magma. He's very young as well. So people are like, oh, he's going to run for president, all this kind of shit.
Yeah.
But I know he's a rage baiter. So I know people are just pissed at him, like online on Twitter.
Is that... I'm going to get my water, and I'll ask you the question. In fact, maybe I'll ask it for you to start answering while I grab my water. Is that a reason to be murdered?
No, of course not. Listen, there's almost never a reason for you to get murdered unless you do something so heinous.
That is the problem. We're changing on that view as a culture right now.
But I think most people think it's not an acceptable thing to do.
I completely disagree.
You think most people are like, oh, he should have been killed?
An uncomfortable amount of people. You don't, leave the YouTube video. Go do some searching. You don't even need to... people, by the time this goes out, there's enough of reactions. An uncomfortable amount of people are okay with the fact that we have video footage of a human being getting fucking blood coming out of their neck.
Like a geyser.
Yeah, we both saw the same video, right?
Horrible.
Insane.
Horrible. Do you know the gunman was 200 yards away?
No.
Like on the top of a building.
Did they even get the guy?
No, they apprehended a suspect, but they released the guy.
So the guy's still at large at this recording, which is the same day.
Yeah. So I literally turned on my TV and I was like, okay, let me just get what's on the news right now. And they were like, oh, the gunman was 200 meters away. He's on the top of some building, 200 yards away, which is 2 football fields away. It's not close.
And he got him right
in the neck. It was remember how
I can already know, if you've seen what he was talking about, he's literally talking about gun violence.
I know, but I don't know if that might have been a coincidence. Maybe not.
Of course, but everybody connects everything to a meaning of a thing. And the problem is with the people that agree is there's going to be people that say, well, that's what he gets for having these views on guns.
No, you know what's crazy is that the fact that he shot him with that, and that was the question he was answering, is going to spark debate of did that person who asked the question set it up with the gunman, and did the gunman time it so that he would shoot this person as he was answering the question about gun violence?
Yeah, as human beings, we are meaning-making machines. Okay, so your initial reaction is...
Anyway, to your point, because we were texting about, I was like, this guy had it coming, and
yeah,
I don't mean it
mean?
In the sense that he deserved it, but I mean it in the sense that in the game of politics, all is fair in love and war. Politics is a game of war. This guy was getting too much power. This guy was saying too many crazy things. This guy was rallying the youth of America. Whoever, I think someone on the newscast earlier was saying that you can't attribute this as an act of political violence because some people are just mentally ill and want the attention, or saw this as an opportunity, and it could have been nothing to do with politics, but more likely not, in my opinion, this guy just didn't like Charlie Kirk. He's probably and it was I think it does the opposite sometimes. It's when they try to shoot Donald Trump,
yeah,
it actually galvanized him to become more popular. And I think maybe in the short run, this would be seen as, the far right loses someone that is very, very influential to them. But maybe in the long run, 2028, in the 2028 election, this serves as a rallying cry to be there needs to be more support. It's going to move people in the other direction. I think generally this is kind of counterproductive.
Of course. I can't fucking stand the line of thinking, and this is not a jab at you, this is a jab of what's very common right now, of this looking like a team thing. And we're fucked because of this, I think. And what I mean, I'm going to see if I can collect my thoughts on this. I disagree with Charlie Kirk on almost everything. Right before we hit record, I was talking about the last interaction that I had with one of his posts on Twitter. Is my most viral response. He had hit when Taylor Swift was saying something, or when she got engaged, and he made some comment about women should do this, and I responded like, how about we let women do their thing? But I disagree with him on religion. I disagree with him on politics. I disagree with him on views with Islam and how I think he's doing some things that are very counterproductive there. On almost everything, I disagree with him on. And I think this is a tragedy for everybody, not just the right. And why is that? Because we're in a really precarious moment in culture where we think that this is just a jab at a ideology. What I think we're doing, and I don't know if it's because we're all on our fucking phones and we're watching the news or YouTube, but what we're doing, it seems like, and I'd love your take on this to see, just to respond how I'm reading this, but it seems like what we're doing is we're forgetting. We're treating people, political figures and people on our side, as almost like comic book or cartoon characters that we can agree or disagree with. And we're not realizing that these are full fucking human beings. I think that's the gist. We're treating people like they're a comic book character, that they can just be replaceable. And I think the reason I'm probably a little bit more touchy on this is because of the way I grew up. I mean, the way I think now is so different. Because there's going to be a whole slew of people that say, but look at what he thought. Look what he believed. Look what he stood for. And it's going to be on the opposition. And you're also going to have people that agree with everything that he stood for as being, a Christian, having values that are conservative and stuff like that. By the way, I'm going to have some critiques for the people that are on the Charlie Kirk side as well on how to respond to this, because I think we could make a mess, a big fucking mess for anybody that actually wants something like this to not happen. But fuck, I lost my train of thought.
Dude, the thing is that there's probably, I mean, he's a Trump supporter.
Mm-hmm.
Really big one. More than half America voted for Trump.
Right.
So it's not that it's not that he got killed because he's a Trump supporter and he has a lot of similar views to many, many Trump supporters. He got killed because he's powerful, he's influential, and I think he has the potential to be even more powerful in the future. I think people are afraid that he was going to be... He's a young, spry, intelligent... He could have been the next president. Like, people are saying, is he going to run for president when he turns 35?
Okay.
So people eliminated the potential for this guy to be the torchbearer when Trump leaves office, when J.D. Vance maybe leaves office, blah, blah, blah. Like, he could have been the next political juggernaut to kind of come on the scene as the new face of the conservative movement.
Sure, I can see that, but why are we even having that conversation right now? Like, is it to, I'm just genuinely curious. Like, are we trying to, like, understand potentially people's motive? Like,
yeah, because you don't know who killed them or why they did.
Right.
People get killed every day.
Yeah.
Random acts of violence every day, gang 100%. Violence every day, people got stabbed and whatever.
Yeah.
Okay, this one's gaining attention because of why? Because he's an influential figure.
Of course.
Okay, so
but this was a big conversation that I had with the guys out playing basketball too. Is we were like, my point was, no, this is tragic, who he is. But if a regular person on the street got shot in the neck, that's also tragic.
Every day people die.
Yeah, and that's tragic.
Gun violence.
And it's tragic.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. This is the only distinction in those two things, is that this guy's so powerful. This guy, it was in front of a large audience. He's a very controversial figure. He's an important he's a public figure, all these things.
Right.
That's the distinction.
Yeah. I remember the point that I was making. The point that I was making, though, too, is like, and I don't think you're making this point, but I just want to go there just in case anybody else listening was making a point. Are we about to make the point that there's on one side I can see why somebody would have the motive, but are we of those that might be politically homeless and can look at all sides? Are we of the mind as a society and a culture? It's like, oh, makes sense. Like, we can accept this.
What's your question?
I'm wondering if we think that on some level we can accept this, that people that think like this and kill people for their views, like, can we, like, is that...
The thing is, there's like, if you're on the left, right, you could be secretly happy that this happened, but there's also plausible deniability. Like, you go on TV and you say, I don't agree with this perpetrator's actions. This was a horrible act of violence. Nobody ever should be killed for their political beliefs. We should only have civil discourse. But behind the scenes, you're like, this was good for our cause.
I'm so nervous of that being possibly true.
Because I think possibly it is true. Like,
I think it is.
If you're a Democratic person, right? If you're in a Democratic and you're in politics, you're like, wow, there's this one person that we have, like, one less person, and maybe the most important person in the future that we have to worry about. Of course, people are going to spawn and take his place because, like, nature abhors a vacuum. Someone's going to come in and take over Kirk's. No one's going to replace him, just like no one will replace Donald Trump or whoever. But someone's going to fill that void where he operated in. Yeah. But if you're on the opposite side, you're like, okay, I have deniability that I was not involved in this, and nobody was involved in this, from like whatever, Chuck Schumer, Nancy Pelosi. Obviously, none of these people are probably involved in this. Maybe this guy was some lone wolf that operated by himself, but you know, when you go to the smoke-filled room in the Democratic National Convention, they're probably like,
I don't give a fuck about that guy, really. The guy that was 200 yards away that shot him, that's not the guy I'm concerned about. I'm concerned about everybody else that you're talking about, the people on the left.
I think half the people, you know, like, I've texted a few friends about this, and most of them are just jokey about it. Like, this guy's like squirted blood, ha 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 ha.
I know. That's my point. I think we're fucked.
No, because I think it would have been that case with anybody that got killed.
That's fucked. If it was anybody, if it was somebody on the left or the right, if it was Nancy Pelosi, that's what I'm saying. No, I really think there's something that we're missing here as a culture. I really do. Like, I don't agree with Charlie Kirk. If that was Obama, if that was a random person on the street.
Yeah. But I'm saying it's in the same way that people joke about 9/11, that people joke about, like...
People weren't joking about 9/11.
Not on the day, not the day that happened. But I'm saying, like...
You're actually not wrong what you're doing. It's actually the point I'm trying to tease out, because I think it's going to end up fucking everybody, where we're becoming so team-based. We're becoming so team-based that we're thinking, well, at least it wasn't one of our teams. And I think this is a slippery fucking slope. I don't think this is an isolated incident. I think there's something right now that is very wrong for everybody in society with something like this, especially the joking.
But the thing is, like, JFK got assassinated, MLK got assassinated.
And
what I'm saying is, like, people make jokes about JFK's assassination.
People weren't making jokes of JFK's assassination the day of like this.
I'm sure people were.
Who? Like,
I don't know. I don't know anyone that was live.
But if you're going to make the point, you have to back up the point. But I'm a big fan of MLK. I've been reading a lot of his stuff because I'm trying to understand what he did that actually brought people together. Because he was a political figure that, yes, he grew power and he got assassinated, but it's because he actually brought people together. Charlie Kirk, I don't think was somebody that was actually bringing people together necessarily, except he brought people together if they were on the right and they were conservative.
Sure.
But back then,
they're different people, but they're obviously very, very different people. MLK and Charlie Kirk are obviously very, very different people.
Let's bring up MLK, JFK, and all these things, because here's the thing. And we can even put 9/11 in there since this is going to go out on 9/11, interestingly enough.
Damn.
Like, this is going out on 9/11.
Damn!
Yeah, because,
Rip.
I mean, today is it happened on my, I was married on today. I was married.
9/10?
I was married on 9/10.
Damn, shout out.
My ex-wife, so.
Day before 9/11.
Yeah, it's actually funny. My daughter, Belle, called me this morning, and she was like, "Happy ex-anniversary, Pop."
How did she know that? You told her about that?
I didn't tell her. Archie or her mom.
Are you gonna call your mom, your baby mama?
I just said she was like, this would have been the day that would have been your anniversary, and I was like, and it wasn't weird at all. I was just like, yeah, it's a good thing we got married so that you could be born.
Yeah, because you're here.
Yeah, because you're here. And she was like, yeah, and we had a cute moment. But yeah, it's just interesting this happened on that day, and then it's also being released on 9/11. Here's my point. And it's probably going to take me multiple episodes to make the point of what I'm feeling. And I really hope people, if they get anything on this, to stick with me, because there were people that very much violently disagreed with Bush politics that hugged Bush people on 9/11. There are people that very much disagreed with JFK politics that hugged people that were JFK. I'm not saying that there wasn't tensions. I'm not saying people didn't make jokes, but we were one fucking country. We're one human race. And that, to me, is being so missed right now. It is so missed. And I know it's being missed by the speed at which these text messages are happening, because my friends are doing it too. I saw it. My family's doing it, where they're like, "Oh, good riddance," that quickly.
But I think I think you're misconstruing the fact that it's happening over text versus that this probably has always been happening. Like, regardless, before the phone, people probably heard about this news later or on TV, and in their houses, they're like, some people are like, "Good riddance," and some people are like, "Your view, no, this is a bad thing. You can't be saying that. It's too soon to say this."
I'm not saying that people did not make jokes. I'm not saying that there weren't different reactions. The point I am making is the depth and intensity of tribalism now. Just like the point I just made.
But why do you think it's the depth of tribalism is more than it was before?
That's exactly my point. That's the discussion that we need to have as a culture. There's a lot of reasons for it. There's a billion reasons. But
I'm sure
we have to first establish that it's there. Do you disagree? I mean, I'll say what I said.
I agree that there's tribalism now.
There's tribalism that's insane, to the point where when tragedy struck on 9/11...
But 9/11 is different than this.
When tragedy struck with JFK, look at any tragedy. In human history, it doesn't just have to be America. There's been tragedies where we can rally around, and we're not.
Okay.
We're looking at people like this. This is so much deeper than even this situation. We can go all the way to the fucking Palisade fires, where, but they're rich. People celebrated that. We can go to, like, there's something that we're slipping on. We're slipping in this thing as humanity, where if we have something bad happen to the team that we're happy. But they're real human beings, and we're missing it. If something like this happened to me, you wouldn't be celebrating. I hope you would, actually. I hope you'd find some way to roast me. But no, like, I'd be devastated. Like, when we're a little bit closer and we see the humanity. I went out on the streets in New York and talked to my friends playing basketball, and I was just like, let's be honest. What happens if you knew somebody that this happened to? And the reaction's way different than, like, we have this detachment that, and I think this is why it's even worth talking about. I don't even think that we're aware of it as a culture, how detached We are. And I want I want more people to discuss it, because I'm like, wait a minute. No, this is, and here's the other flip side of this, why I think it's so important. This isn't about left versus right. I think the causes that we all care about, it's fucking those too. Because there's something that we're doing and it's fucking ourselves. Because let's look at the case that you're saying where there's going to be some people that are happy that Charlie Kirk got fucking shot in the neck and is murdered because it helps their cause. Those same people are going to have the same thing. They're going to have their moment. They're going to have their George Floyd moment. They're going to have their tragedy. And those are the moments when people are hurting that we need people that are willing to say, hey, we debate and hate each other on most things, but I'm going to come talk to you now. But because it's so divided, the thing that heals humans, the thing that makes us grow and learn, like humans in so many times in human history, tragedy has this silver lining where people come together and triumph together. And we're missing on that because it's so tribal, something bad happens and there's like this subtle celebration. It's happening right now in Israel, Palestine in a strange way. That's a whole different conversation, but it's a similar thing where people hurt and we don't have this reaction to want to go help somebody that's hurting because they're on a different team.
So the thing with is like with 9/11 was that because it was Al-Qaeda that attacked America, I think a lot of Americans put aside their differences in order to come together as Americans.
Totally.
Right?
Totally.
So that was the rallying cry of, wow, we have a lot more in common than we do differences.
Right.
So we can rally around a common enemy, a foreign enemy.
Right.
That's different than here where it's like, this is a domestic issue. This guy is American. He stands on the right. But a lot of Democrats or people on the left don't like this person and actually actively probably think he's a bad person. He's a morally bad person. Great. I think with like stuff of like people joking or being unserious about his death, I think that's just, I understand why people joke about these things. Like when Michael Jackson died, right? People are like, oh, good riddance. He was a child rapist. He was a terrible person. Other people are like, wow, he made such good music. He's impacted the world so much.
How did he die?
I think he overdosed. I don't remember how he died.
How you die matters.
Okay, so I'm trying to think of someone in the past 20 years that got killed and people were like, that was somewhat controversial and people had somewhat different sides.
I actually want to talk about your point for a second. Let's even set my point aside about when tragedy strikes or something bad happens, we're able to rally around each other as humanity, which we've done forever, and it's why we're still here. That's what I love about New York. The more you get into the New York history, we've had so much diversity here from its founding, different religions, different stuff, and you watch old videos of people talking about it, and they're like, we fucking had each other. But that's a separate point. Let's even go down the point of you understand the depth and the political divide. The point I just want to make on that is, even with that being said, with this guy believes things that we deem are evil, because this can go both sides. I'll actually speak on your side if I'm on the Charlie Kirk side, because I think it's dangerous for Charlie Kirk and his crew, because he did what's happening right now with him. If there's people celebrating, he and his crew have done that with the Muslim issue. And I shouldn't even call it a Muslim issue.
You're talking about Israel, like the IDF killing people in Gaza.
No. There's this whole thing. Like, again, we forget that we're humans first and religious people second. We forget that we're humans first and Republicans, Democrats, like bosses. We're humans first. People forget that. And so Charlie Kirk's been having a ton of content, and this is something I've disagreed with him on a lot, with his views towards Muslims, just because you're Muslim. And I'm like, I grew up in such a strict environment. And I love things that break my brain because I, again, grew up in a pretty bubbled area. And I've hung out with a lot of Muslims that are dope. And so, and this has happened so many times where there are these stereotypes that form, and then you go have real lived experience with a human being, and you realize that there's so much more than their label. And I'll set that point aside. My main point with your point of the understanding the divide is, I think it's going to end up fucking your own side unless you can have empathy on some of these very serious things, because you're going to have your moment on your side. And we forget the reason we're even in politics. We forget the reason we're even debating anything. And it's because we care. We're human beings. And usually we care about us. We care about other human beings as well. And we want people to flourish. And yeah, we'll have these things of like, where the pain's coming from. Oh, the rich people are the problem, or these people are the problem. But we need to come back to understanding. I'm going to use a phrase that I got from my dad. As you know, my dad passed last year, cancer. And there was a phrase that he often said whenever there was problems in the family or problems in society and everything, and people are always talking like, well, who's going to fix it? And stuff like that. And he had this phrase that's like, it's just us chickens. And we lived on a farm. And it was just a funny phrase, like, it's just us chickens. It wasn't disparaging or anything. But the point of the phrase, it's just us chickens, is sometimes we forget that we're all we've got. Like, as simplistic as that sounds, I actually just had a TikTok that's going viral right now. My first ever main thing. Like, I just did a post yesterday on the idea that everything is made up. Everything's made up. We forget that, like, literally everything. We're on this planet. Everything's made up. We made up the idea of the borders of countries. We made up this idea of you live in this state, you live in that state. We made up the idea of left versus right. And then we start fighting on those things instead of recognizing that those things were made for a purpose to actually help us. But we need to get back to the fact that we're humans first. And I really think that we're in this weird moment where we're not looking at each other like actual humans. We're literally looking at somebody like, this person is against my team, and if something bad happens to this person against my team, it's good for the world. And it's not, for so many reasons.
I think this has always been going on. I know what you mean in terms of like seeing everyone as human. I just think it's sometimes like too wah wah woo, too like, it's too meta, because there's just, people are dealing with, like, power is a zero sum game. Like, if I have more of it in politics, you have less of it. So death is the ultimate consequence, and it's the worst thing you could do to somebody. But this person's actions, whether you like it, whether it was killing Charlie Kirk or making sure Charlie Kirk never runs for office or no longer has a voice, or deplatforming him from Twitter or canceling him, this was the ultimate cancel. Like, if they were to deplatform him or strip all his money or debank him or blah, 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 they want to strip power away from him so he no longer has influence over people, so that whatever other side can take over that vacuum, right? So, like, all these made up things about politics and government, they are made up, but the reality is that they're real. Now they are real, and they have consequences on people's lives. And other people have different ideas than Charlie Kirk. They disagree with him vehemently. And I don't know who the shooter was. Nobody knows yet. Nobody knows if he was a hired hand.
Keep going on the conversation. Fuck the shooter, because there's a whole collection of people that
are happy
disagree.
that this happened.
Yes.
Yeah, that are happy that this happened. They're happy because they no longer want, it's not about Charlie Kirk himself, but no longer want someone that espouses those ideas that is that popular to be around. They think that basically they signal that his ideas are evil, they're bad, they're morally degrading to society, so that if this person was no longer around, that ability to have those ideas perpetuate in society will be less.
I totally agree with you. I think that's happening. I think the power is there and they're trying to get rid of the power. Do you want to?
Yeah. That was it. I mean, I was just saying.
No, you're not
They
wrong.
weren't looking at her like a human being. It's hard to look at politicians as, like, on one hand, they're also so far removed from a normal person, if you know what I mean.
Sure.
Trump, Kamala, Biden, like sometimes people look at them and they're like, you're so detached from society. You have no idea what it's like to be a normal person.
I think we're detached from each other. I think they are detached, but I also think that we are detached. And I think that's really my point. There's something that it's hard for me to fully articulate, but I get what you're saying about the power and wanting to get rid of the power. And the point I'm trying to make.
Like some people think, like truly, some people think like Charlie Kirk is a cancer to society.
I know.
So what do you do with cancer? You get rid of cancer.
That's why it's so fucking...
But that's what you would say, like, I think some people look at Charlie Kirk and think he's like David Duke. I don't know. I'm trying to think of someone that's like universally hated. Like,
this is what you're talking about has been going, now that's been going on forever. It happened all the time in fundamentalist Mormonism where people use labels like cancer. In the founding of Mormonism, Joseph Smith had this very flowery, amazing vision for becoming a Mormon so that you could, people joke about it now that you're going to have a planet someday. You're actually going to have a whole universe. You're going to have eternal family. Yeah, you're going to get to the celestial kingdom. There was so much purpose and you're going to get to be connected to your family forever. But then Joseph Smith, by a lot of accounts, wasn't a very good guy and broke up a lot of relationships.
What's her name? Foley, the lady that he had sex with?
Fanny Alger.
Fanny Alger.
Yeah, and many others. But I digress. The main point I'm making, because I was just studying this, is how human beings create labels so that they get the desired effect. And it's very dangerous because we forget the power of the idea of the word we're using. So, and this will just link back to your whole point with cancer. He would say, oh, if you start to fight against Mormonism, then you're anti-Mormon, you're anti-God, and put all this shame on people. And so what ends up happening when you use a label like that? This is why I'm saying we end up... Actually, let me finish the point with Joseph Smith, and it'll come right back to this. What it ends up doing is it ends up creating a shame cycle when you start pushing people like that and labeling people like that. And strangely enough, Joseph Smith also got murdered.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
By who?
A mob.
Like a non-Mormon mob.
A non-Mormon mob, yeah. In fact, it's one of the things that Mormonism, I think, proliferated because of that. Like, because he was now considered a martyr.
Became a martyr.
Like 100%. Yeah. And Charlie Kirk can do the same thing.
He becomes a martyr.
So, how does this connect to what your point is with cancer? It connects in so many ways. But the big one is the shame, the judgment that we're placing on people. This is what I think is so interesting because it feels different than like when I study the 70s and the 80s. I'm not saying that we didn't have political differences and we didn't have teams, but there was something that we've had as a society that has allowed us to progress forward where even if we disagreed with somebody, there's a base level somewhere of some modicum of respect somewhere.
I disagree. I think it was probably worse before. Like when there were kings and queens and emperors, they would just kill anyone that disagreed with them.
For sure.
So I actually think it's gotten much better because
as a society overall, you're saying like in human history?
I would say, I mean, I don't think it's gotten worse or it's gotten better, but I think it's become less socially acceptable to murder people.
Okay, why?
Because I think morally people have just
Morally, where did that come from?
society gets better over time.
How?
Because things progress, things liberalize.
That's just
people
my point.
are held accountable.
Society doesn't just get better over time. Society can degrade.
That is true too.
I lived it. I saw it up close.
But okay, let's go back to the point of you were talking about the labels, and I think that's a good point. I think in politics, in discourse, people have to use labels because there's no other way to convince people about a topic that's very nuanced.
No other way.
It's very difficult.
It's lazy.
It's very difficult.
It's lazy.
To convince
it's very
vote.
effective.
It's very effective because
that's why it's effective.
Because most people like you heard of like moral absolutism and moral relativism.
Yeah.
Like Charlie Kirk is a moral absolutist.
Totally. It's one of the things I disagree with him.
So that's why he says this is the only way. The Christian way is the only way.
Right.
You have to get married. You have to have kids.
Mm-hmm.
Premarital sex is bad.
Mm-hmm.
That's why he labels certain things because there is only one right way for him. The moral relativists are like, you can live any way you want.
Yeah.
None of them are wrong and none of them are right. Whatever
and that's
path
a spectrum between those two. And I'm going to say something that might be controversial from what I'm saying. Everything I've said this entire podcast, but I believe we have some effect. I'm not saying we deserve it, but we have some effect in what happens in our life. Charlie Kirk did not deserve this. It was an insane tragedy. He has a more than 0% effect on it having happened. I will say that.
What do you mean?
He's had there's it's not even that crazy of a thing to say. It's just true. I think.
You're saying because he was a famous person and he said some crazy shit?
Not even more than just the famous person. I think who he is as a person and how he was in the world and being perhaps even a moral absolutist. I'm not saying he brought it on him and 100%, but if there's 100 things and there's a certain percentage, there is some percentage.
No, yeah. If you're going to every school and holding a rally and talking shit, there's a non-zero chance you're going to get shot up with the rage baiting he was doing.
But I'm not. I want to step in to make sure I'm not making. Like we think in such binaries. We think in such binaries with. Like, oh, it's his fault.
But okay, so at the end of the day, okay, talking about the moral, like what's right or wrong or what's lazy, I think no matter how nuanced you make a political topic, at the end of the day, you have to make a choice on what you believe is right or wrong. Like the abortion decision.
I remember the point that I needed to respond to. Let's before we go to issues. You said it's always been this way, essentially, and society just moves forward. Society does not just move forward. We've it's not an accident. Something like this is what should allow us to all fucking pause and see why it's set up the way that it is.
I'm not saying society doesn't move forward. It's just like in anyone's...
You said it does move forward.
I know, but it's like in anyone's personal life. In your personal life, people improve over time. People mature.
No, all the time. The question is, how do they and when do they degrade? And this is the point I'm trying to make. People didn't we've had different periods of more tolerance of each other's ideas than this moment.
I don't know, dude.
You need to have tolerance of ideas in order to select the right ideas that are helpful for us to move forward. If you don't have tolerance, you're going to stay stuck and you're going to become a cult.
You talk about the 70s, dude. Black people were getting killed in the 70s for being black.
Fine. I'm not saying that. Look, here's the other thing, too, with all these things. We're not on the same timeline. We live in 2025. There's people in different parts of the country that are still living in 1900 with their beliefs.
Sure, it's just less. It's less.
It's less.
Yeah.
My point is that the only way to move forward is you have to be open to something that is not you have to be open to a diversity of thought. And I'm not saying shit wasn't going on. That's the other thing that we freaking met. It's such a... it's its own set of tragedy that we've fallen into. I've noticed in culture over the last decade or two, is we've reached this point where we think that we're so morally superior from everybody in our past, and we know exactly how to be, and we just go look in the past and poo-poo on them. And that to me is so lazy too, because what you're doing is if you have this moral urge to help the black community, for example, instead of tearing down a statue or shitting on people in the 70s that aren't even fucking alive anymore, what can you do now? It blows my brain that the complete and utter lack that we have as individuals to be accountable to where we're at today. And again, I just want to wrap this point. We're entering a time period, and I actually felt that Charlie, in not a good way, represented the fact that we're becoming more gripped and less open to ideas, to the other person across us. It's becoming, and it's from us, and there's a lot of reasons for it. I want to actually have a political scientist on. Like, who the fuck are we to talk about this? Like, we're just regular people. Like, like, who am I? I'm just trying to bring what I'm actually seeing. But the point I'm actually seeing is I literally feel that the only way society ever moves forward is if we're open to new ideas and we're open to things that are going to make us move forward. And the fact that we've had any progress between the 70s and now shows us that we've been open. Society does not move forward by default. It can degrade. And the way it can degrade is you can become isolated. You can become siloed. You can say we're the only ways. It's the reason we have the political system that we do. Some people are so in their way that they actually think that if they only had their political party,
it would be the best.
Yep.
Yeah.
And this is why that breaks down. This is actually something I'll bring up my daughter Belle again, because I was just hanging out with them. They're starting school, and we're playing with this book idea that we might write someday. I hope you're in frame. I don't know if you're in frame, just in case you're. You can still lounge. I just don't know if you are. Maybe lean. But we have this. There's this book this book concept that I want to write at some point, and Belle and I were talking about it, called The Last Mirror. As a society in this moment, we're breaking all of the mirrors. And what I mean by that is we are becoming so intolerant of anybody showing us anything about ourselves that we don't like.
What does it have to do with Charlie Kirk?
I think that's why he got shot. People are breaking the mirror. And I think it goes both ways. I think it's a point in culture. I think we're getting to this place where we're so intolerant of other people's ideas that we shoot them down. But if they're a mirror, what happens if you don't have that anymore? You turn into North Korea.
Yeah, I think competition of ideas is good. Like, just like in business, you have to have competitors that operate in the glasses industry. You can't just have one person, or else there'll be a lack of innovation. People will stall. I think same thing in politics and in society. If you have just the Democratic Party,
or just the Republicans,
or just whatever, just one party system is bad. You want multi-party system.
I think we're finally getting to there. What my point is in this whole thing.
But I also don't think that Charlie Kirk is representative of the entirety of the right.
Of course he's not, but he is representative of a big chunk of America.
Sure. But in the same way that Don Lemon is a representative of a large part of America.
Do you think that that's a comparable thing, Don Lemon and Charlie Kirk?
I don't know.
I think it'd be fair to say that Charlie Kirk
is more powerful than Don Lemon. Don Lemon's a bit of a joke now.
I think, in fact, correct me on this, because we got Ben Shapiro, we got Matt Walsh.
Yeah,
I would venture to say
Charlie Kirk is number one.
Charlie Kirk is the number one, and certainly now, the most popular person representing the
Okay,
right.
I will say this. When the news broke that he got shot, I actually didn't know how many people. I didn't know that this would be as big as of news. Because I was like, I don't think that many people even watch Charlie Kirk. He's far right. Like, who would, what other far right commentator, if they got shot, would garner this much attention in America? And I was like, maybe I like, there was a period of time where I was like kind of deep watching politics and stuff. So I was like, maybe I watched some of his stuff, but I'm like, I don't think he's that big. But
He's
now I'm
huge.
surprised he's, I mean, unless the news cycle is like, doesn't have anything to show now, I'm like, this guy is going to dominate the news cycle for the next week. And then, unfortunately, this is the case. People are going to forget.
This needs to be something that
People are going to forget about this. People are going to forget about the Coldplay incident, Andy Byron.
Are you comparing this to the CEO that cheated on his wife?
I'm comparing it to the news cycle, how fast it like, people are just going to forget that Charlie Kirk is dead and that this happened.
I'm not going to forget.
People are going to, like, in 2 months' time, there's going to be some other thing that's going to take over the news cycle. He'll be a footnote in the book of 2024.
I very much 2025. Wow.
2025.
Yeah. Where are you? I don't know if I buy that, because I'm thinking. I want to connect this to the conversation I had with the guys outside playing basketball, because all the guys out there, we live in very different worlds. They're all black guys. And I was like, do you know who this guy is? And many of them didn't know. And then some did come up and was like, dude, did you see what happened? And we had this amazing debate and amazing conversation, what you're having right now, about like what's going to happen. Many of them actually use some of the arguments that you're making of, well, it's always been this way and power is power and people are doing this. But one of the things we started to come on is like, what are we doing with, like, what are the things that we can all agree on? What are the things as a human society that we can all agree on? And something that Boyd said. Do you know Boyd out there? He was like, Boyd.
Forgot.
He was like, right is right and wrong is wrong. We have to have a few of those things. And I totally agree with him. And I gave it... Actually, this is a story I was going to tell you for our catch up. I just got involved. I just witnessed here in New York and got involved in my first ever like domestic dispute.
The thing is that, like, that goes back to what moral absolutism is and moral relativism. Is like, I think everyone would say killing is bad,
but they're not. That's the point.
That's what I'm saying, is that most people under certain circumstances in a conversation would say, is killing bad? Yeah, but it depends.
Unless it's a CEO.
Unless it's war,
unless
it's war, or it's revenge.
Healthcare CEO.
Or it's revenge.
Or somebody we don't like.
There's so many exceptions to the rule.
That's my point.
So there's never a right that's applicable all the time.
Here's the thing, though. I think it's a cop-out. I think it's bullshit. Because if somebody killed your friend...
You'd kill that person. Potentially.
Would you, at the very minimum, do you know that that's not a good thing? If somebody killed your mom...
I would probably want to kill that person.
Right. So it's not that we don't know. It's not that we don't agree. It's that we are making these exceptions for things that are not on our team. So I want to finish the story with the domestic dispute I was just involved in. So a couple days ago, I almost got the shit kicked out of me. So I was just walking down the street to go to a stand-up show, and I basically walked into a domestic dispute. And I'm telling the guys about this story, and they're like, you just ran away, right? And I was like, no, because like, I'm there. I'm watching a guy that's way fucking bigger than me, chasing after his girl, and again, they had different views on it, like leave it alone or something like that. You're in New York, you know what's gonna happen. I was like, yeah, but there's somebody there. Anyway, I'm standing there on the sidewalk, and he came up to me because he was like in a violent, angry rage, and he just saw me standing there. And at first, he like raised his hand like he was going to hit me, and I was like, what's going on? And because I know if he did hit me, I'd be fucked, I went across the street, and I'm just watching them. She's trying to get away from this guy, and so I'm just, as a human being, looking at this other human being that's like His goose could be in danger, and there's other people walking around, and the different reactions was wild. Some people are like, this is so shitty. Some people are like, this is New York. And I saw some dude walking 9 dogs that's probably never been laid in like 8 years, and his reaction was so fucking crazy. And I thought the reaction was he was going to be bitching about the guy chasing after his wife. He's like, can't believe this. Like, she probably chose him. He's blaming the girl. He's basically like probably wanting us to be her hero. Get the fuck out of here. Like, blaming her. It was so wild, the variety. But I'm just there watching, waiting to see what's going on. She's trying to get away. Like, leave me alone, chase after. Then he gets physical and grabs her and throws her up against a car. And at that point, that's when I stepped in. I wasn't going to be the guy. I was just like, get your fucking hands off her. And then he turned at me. It's like, what did you say, motherfucker? And I says, get your fucking hands off her. And he's coming at me. If he captures me, I'm dead. And so my only thing was, I felt like I was, I don't know, I felt like I was luring something away. And he starts coming at me. And I'm like, in my head, I'm like, I know that if I just take off running, I can outrun him. So, but we go a few blocks where he's coming at me, and then his girl left, and then I took off. And then
you don't even know what was going down.
I have no idea what was going down, but I knew. Oh, come on. Okay. Are we about to debate? We don't know what.
What if she was stealing shit from him? You don't know. Or he could have been an abuser, but it's just like you don't have the context, so it's like sometimes it's. I mean, I couldn't say I would have been citizen's arrest or whatever, been like gone in and prevented it, but I'm like, I don't know what the fuck's going on. Like, why would I insert myself into this situation?
Do bad things happen?
Of course.
This is the thing that I think this is so insane to me that we're even having this as a discussion. She was obviously in distress. I'm not fucking blind. And this was actually the conversation that the guys had. And some of them basically said some variation of what you just said, which is, very few of them actually said what you just said. Like, most of them were like, mind your business. You don't know if you're going to get stabbed. They were like,
yeah, it's also
worrying about
safety
for your own
as well.
safety.
Yeah.
But then this is what my friend Brian said to everybody else. Is like, okay, listen, that's your mom. Now what you going to do? That's your big sister. What are you going to do?
Would you have done it if it was a guy that was getting hurt?
100%! What the fuck are we even doing? This is insane. I can't fucking believe that we have these types of conversations.
You've never seen any other altercation in New York? I feel like I've seen fights all the time in New York. You've inserted yourself into every single one of them?
No. But if it was something that's obviously in front of you and it's not good.
But that's every fight in New York. That's every fight that you see. It's like two people fighting it out. Like if it's a guy, they're arguing with each other.
If you see somebody that's about to get fucked, what do? Do we just let it go? Like, that's the thing. We're so confused right now. I can't believe we're even having this discussion. I'm like,
why?
And again, this is not at you, because I think this is, I want to sort of, I think the wrap up on this incident is actually the answer. Because where the conversation ended up is like, you're risking your life, you don't know context, all that stuff. But the point that I made, and there was actually a really fun story that happened right after that confirmed the point that I want to bring up, is there's things that happen that, yes, it would be a risk to us, but we know that that's
I'm giving you shit. I know that there's a sixth sense when you look at a situation and you say, there are some situations where you're like, you just gotta let these guys fight it out.
No question.
And there's some where you're like, something's wrong
100%.
here.
Something's wrong.
And I get that.
So the only question, so there are things where we know they're wrong.
Yes, and then you try to prevent
but the
something
question only becomes, my safety or this? That's really the question. And that was the thing we debated. And my point that I made was, because they were like, well, great, you did that and you helped and stuff like that. But I don't think I was a hero. I think it was less risky to do what I did than if I would have just been there. That's my point. I think it was less risky for me as a human being than if I would have just turned my head. Because that way of being in the world is going to come bite you in the fucking ass at some point. And we have to have these things that we agree on as individuals where we're like, maybe it's murder, maybe it's taking care of others. But if you see somebody, what if we just said, like, just fucking care? Like, we got to have something. Otherwise, we're fucked.
Yeah.
It's not, like, I can't buy this line of thinking that's like, yeah, this is shitty. Yes, we're in this. Yes, we can't agree. But we're going to just keep on moving forward and we're going to be progressing anyway. That's what society does.
I know what you mean. But just like, the world works in, like, you see people begging on the subway every single day.
Mm-hmm.
Asking for money. You see homeless people on the street laying in their own piss. You see just fucked up shit every day. This is New York City. And it's like, you cannot help everyone, and you cannot be...
Totally. There's more pain and things to help than there
so it's
are
just
to...
like...
Totally. So what do you do?
I know in this situation it's different because you're seeing, like, an act of violence. Like, I saw someone get absolutely, like, just, like, he was on an e-bike and he got ran over by a car. People are going to rush to his help.
Yeah.
People are going to be like, oh my God, what's going on?
Yeah.
Someone's going to call the police. Someone's going to do this. People are going to be standing by. People are just going to be looking.
Honestly, you're making me think of, I think, my biggest point, because that's what I loved about living in New York. We've done this. I've seen this so much, like a lot of genuine human kindness where people are helping each other. And the world is hungry for that sort of thing. Just to wrap up the story talking to these guys, right after I realized where I was like, no, we're going to end up being fucked if we don't do something when it's there. This guy tells us the story about getting stabbed, like, and how it was really fucked, and because he was like a very angry guy, and if anybody said anything against him, he would like get in fights all the time, and his life completely changed. And I was like, what changed for you, like mindset wise? He said, I started to realize that everything that I was doing for my word, for defending myself, for everything else, in the moment looked right, ended up fucking me. That's the point I'm trying to make. We're not going to get into Israel-Palestine tonight, but there's so many things where if you just extend yourself a little bit, and this is actually what I want to end with, because we're talking about the people that are against Charlie Kirk. I'll talk about the people that love Charlie Kirk to wrap this up. People that love Charlie Kirk, I think, have an opportunity to make a real fucking difference right now. Yes, we're going to mourn and everything, but remember this pain right now, how shitty you felt when it happened. And when you see somebody else not on your team in pain, see if you can at least just extend instead of, aha, gotcha. That's it. That's all I'm saying. Like, as human beings, because we understand the pain, it's like we have this choice when we deal with pain. Because there's so much pain to go around, and we all got our own problems. I got all of the debt I'm trying to fulfill my dreams and stuff like that. Like, we all have our shit. But when we have pain, we have a choice to either pass it on, or because you have it and you know what it feels like, to just extend yourself a little. And it's not even a concession. It's just an acknowledgement.
I know we're ending on like a nice note, but I was just thinking of our conversation. Like, I feel like in America, we have the luxury of this not happening a lot. Like, influential political figures like not getting assassinated, like Charlie Kirk just did. I think it happens like in Mexico. In the recent election, like 6 of the political candidates got murdered. I think that happened in Brazil, in Colombia, in Venezuela, Southeast Asia. It happens a decent amount. We just have the luxury in the United States of being the most powerful, rich country on earth, where law and order generally, relative to the rest of the world, holds pretty firm.
So are we just
I'm not saying that this is a good thing that happens. It's just a normal thing that happens. And I'm not excusing it.
I know what you're doing, and I think it's valid because so many people think this way. I think what you're doing is making it easier to sleep at night. Think that this is just normal. Life is just the same.
But like, say you like, obviously it's because like you're not having a podcast every time a political figure gets killed.
The other thing though too, that this is my point. No, like I also think that we have this tendency to do what, like, this is just normal things and we try to normalize it and move on. I've lived in an environment and I've been close to environments, to societies that slide to hell. Fundamentalist Mormon cults, especially the Warren Jeffs FLDS cult, slid into complete hell. Society doesn't just fucking keep moving forward. And I really think it's more than that. It's not just like, oh, this is normal, like chill. No, this can go worse. There's nothing so bad that can't go horrible. This can keep getting worse and worse and worse and worse and worse.
I understand that. I understand it can get worse, and I understand that it's a bad thing. I'm not saying that they're mutually exclusive, that if something is normal, that it can also be bad. I'm saying that that is the case. I'm just saying that the fact that you're having this conversation, it's so visceral to you. You're so impacted by it. I think a bunch of people in America are impacted. It's mainstream news. There's going to be debates about this on TV for the next month. President Trump said something. People on the Democrats are going to say this is a horrible thing that happened. But that's because I think people recognize that in America, people think that this is a genuine issue. As opposed to the rest of the world where I think people actually just brush it off. Like in Mexico, like, oh, fuck, the cartel just offed this other guy. Like, that's just a normal day thing.
My point, that's a tragedy too.
Yeah, but I don't think it's as much of a tragedy like we're discussing it now.
I totally disagree. I think that's part of our bullshit social thing is we just dismiss things and like, well, bad things happen other places. Right now,
I don't think the general population has much of is as surprised as happens in Mexico or in another third world country as it does. People are more surprised it happens here and more appalled, and people have a more visceral reaction to it.
What's our takeaway here?
I think that the CEO one is a good parallel to this, though.
Me too.
And
I'm the only person in my fucking life that is appalled by that.
Yeah, where's Luigi at?
And this is my point. Like, I get everything that we're not going to talk about the CEO the whole time, but I get that all these people are hurting, and what we cannot do very well as human beings is hold two pains. But if we're going to move forward at all, and that's really what the point is, and maybe that's what we'll wrap on. If we're going to move forward at all, like the things that we argue about and debate over, the things that we get all riled up about on X, the things we disagree about with other political figures, we have to have some baseline of morality that we agree on, and the truth is we already have it. We already have it. We're not fucking idiots. Everybody has it, but it's for their side and not for the other. And that's the problem. Because if your grandfather got shot, you'd be fucking pissed. But because, or your dad, but because this person represented a CEO of this conglomerate organization, and that's the point of the through line of this entire episode that I'm trying to get us back to, is we have, because of the age of the internet, because of probably so many other reasons, we're looking at all of these symbolistic people not as humans. Mm-hmm. And it will ultimately fuck us. And it already is. Mm-hmm. And if we don't look at people like humans, we're going to be screwed. Genuinely. Mm-hmm.
Well, how about that new iPhone 17 Air, huh?
I haven't looked at it yet.
That's a woozy, huh? You gonna get it?
What does it do?
I don't know. It's supposed to be the lightest iPhone ever.
I'll have to... Oh, really?
Can't wait till the iPhone 69, man.
Dude, this episode, look how clear this is. Do you guys like this episode? I shot an entire...
Let's go!
On this... what you're seeing right now is not like it's an iPhone. And it's iPhone 15 Pro. Look how clear this is. This is still iPhone 15 Pro. Do I need a 17?
Shout out.
Yeah.
You don't need none of that bullshit.
I don't need none of that bullshit. Guys, I would love to hear your thoughts throughout this conversation. I would love somebody to make the point that I'm trying to make, because I actually feel like that there is a deeper point that I'm going to go to sleep tonight and be like, I
realize, huh?
I'm not actually communicating what I'm actually trying to say.
Well, that's what happens when you do an emergency pod, is that you have things are fresh but not fully formed yet.
But I want that, because I want to keep real conversation, because this is the real shit. I want to do more real shit like this. So I'd love to hear your thoughts. What was your favorite part of this episode? What resonated? What didn't? What did you like, disagree with, not like? I mean, I think at the end of here, like, correct me if I'm wrong. I'm going to see if I can still man your point. Your point is, this is normal.
Mm. My point is, this was not a good thing that happened, but bad things happen all the time in the world. We live in a reality. We live in the world.
Okay. And my point, if I can distill it into, is like, this is a symptom of something that is sick in society that is going to fuck us, and we can change it. And the way we can change it is if you, like Charlie Kirk, when something bad happens to somebody else and we know the pain, you can point it out. And this isn't going to happen because there's like, but if there's anybody that actually is in the middle on this and you see somebody hurting, give them a hug. Like, we really need to do this more. Like, there's wars going on, like everything that you're talking about in Mexico and power, and again, Israel and Palestine. It's all because we don't, like, at the end of the day, I don't think society has to be zero sum. I think, and it's not. The thing that proliferates is, and this isn't just woo-woo, it's just nature. The way things move forward is if you can find the fucking win-win and not just tear each other down. And so we have to get back to seeing each other as individuals, as people, and just acknowledging somebody that you might disagree with. That's my final take. So, comment. Good to see you, bro.
Love you.
Love you too. I want to say to wrap today, this is bananas to me. It really is. You can see it's really affecting my thinking, and I'm gonna have more to say as the days go on. But here's something that I think we can all get behind, that I think is a good way to wrap this. We're never gonna agree on anything. We're gonna debate. We're gonna have different feuds. We're gonna argue with each other. But the few values, there's a few things that we have to start getting to, and that's the values that we as American citizens, as world citizens, as human citizens have to come to. And it's really just returning to what we all stand for that created this process for us to debate in the first place. Anthony's not wrong. We've had it pretty good here. That doesn't mean it's going to stay good. But if you want it to stay good, if we want it to stay good, there's a few things that we can stand on. And it's just a few values of life, liberty, and pursuit. Can we start there as a society, as a culture? Can we say, hey, we can think differently, believe differently, but we all believe that if you're a human being, you deserve life. You deserve to have freedom. You deserve to pursue your calling, whatever that is for you. We're all going to have different callings. Can we start there? Life. Everybody gets life, and that should be protected everywhere. Liberty. We all have freedom. And 3, we have the freedom to pursue our calling. Life, liberty, and pursuit. Any disagreements here? Let me know in the comments. Thank you guys so much for watching. Stay hungry. Stay curious. I'll see you on the next episode.